in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. So I am on the line today with someone who is lovingly known as the badass business chick. Can you? What an awesome introduction, right? Her name is Annette Pieper. She is a business results coach, an author, speaker, and trainer, and she is the president of Vision to Reality Training. She has over 20 years of coaching, consulting, and training expertise. She's the author of the upcoming book, Conquer Success Mountain Like a Badass. And she is the co-author of the best-selling book, Step Into Your Vision. She also hosts the Badass in Business podcast. Annette has helped thousands of people across the globe transform in life and business through her powerful, life-changing programs. Annette Pieper, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Well, thank you, Ralph. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, the pleasure is mine, and I can't wait to dig into more about who you help and what you do. But first, tell us how you got started and how you became known as the badass business chick.
Well, I got started through a marriage crisis. That launched my path. Tired of seeking traditional ways of dealing with psychotherapy and such, I delved into the world of personal development and started my first business. After that, after I transformed my own life, I felt the calling to start a business. So I started a business called Sacred Balance Lifestyle and Fitness Coaching. And I ran that business for a few years. And my then husband said, you're not making enough money. You got to go back to work. And I landed a job coaching for another expert, Laurel Langmeyer, and coaching her business and wealth development programs, which is really where I learned the passion for helping entrepreneurs grow. And so I worked there for about 3 years and decided to launch out on my own and do things my way. And
yes,
in the
true spirit of the Rebelpreneur, you decided to launch out on your own and do things your way, right?
Exactly, because there's not a lot of flexibility when you're coaching someone else's program, and it doesn't always fit with your sole purpose and what you're feeling called to do. And so I left that position, started Vision to Reality Training, and then where the badass stuff came in is I just felt I needed to do some rebranding and upgrade my business image. And I got thinking, what is the energy that I put out there? And it's like, well, my kids are always telling me, Mom, you're such a badass. And it's like, well, I'm a badass in business too. I pushed through some big barriers, and I pushed through some big barriers in life, and I've gone through a lot. And it's like, I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine, and it's like, oh, should I be the badass goddess? She's like, you're a chick. You be the badass business chick. And it stuck. It stuck.
That's a great story. So you are a business results coach. You're doing consulting and training, but let's dig into that. Tell us more about specifically what it is that you do as a coach and a trainer, and who are your ideal prospects?
Well, I love to work with entrepreneurs that are, they've already built their business to a certain level, but they're finding that they're not generating the income that they want. And so I like to help them get out of their own way, because self-sabotage is a big factor that holds people back in life in general, but especially in the entrepreneurial world. and really help them make the money that they truly want. What I've discovered is there's two things that every business owner wants. First of all, they want to generate more leads and attract more clients and make more money so that they can eliminate any of that financial distress they find themselves in. And second, most of the people I work with, they want to reach that 1 million annual revenue so that they can live that life that they always dreamed and was the reason they began the business in the first place. They didn't want another job, yet that's the situation that they find themselves in. So really working with those companies that they may have a few employees, they may be doing it on their own, but they're already established and looking at how to generate more leads, more sales, and more money in their business.
Mm. Yeah, so that's a real challenge for people, and that's a different stage in your business compared to someone who's just starting out, just trying to figure out how this stuff works. You are consulting with businesses that are already established, and they want to scale up, but they still want to be able to live the life that they want to live, which is the tagline for this show, building the business you need for the life you want. If you can't live the life that you want to live, then what good is the business?
Exactly. It's just another job. You just, traded a job working for someone else to a job working for yourself. Yeah. And that's frustrating and it's stressful.
And Michael Gerber referred that to an entrepreneur or a technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. And the biggest problem is that you can't fire yourself, even though you should.
Exactly. Because you don't want to go back to where you came from. Yeah. But you need those tools and those skills and those strategies and the guidance, which is where the coaching and consulting comes in, to really move you forward in a way that you can't figure out how to do on your own. If you could, you'd already be there, right? Exactly.
Yeah. If you could do it yourself, and this is what I tell clients, if you knew how to do it, you would have already done it. So it's a sign of wisdom to reach out to someone who is able to make those connections and make those distinctions and help you get to where you want to be faster. So you're working with these very specific businesses. And you mentioned self-sabotage, but what would you say, in addition to self-sabotage, is probably the biggest problem you see with helping the businesses and the people at the level that you're working with them at?
I'd say a lack of self-confidence to go to the next level. As they reach a certain level and they're comfortable there, and they don't have the confidence in their skills and abilities to take it to the next level. And they don't have the tools and skills that they need to take it to the next level. And that's, like I said, why it's so important to work with a coach or a mentor when you're ready to scale your business. Well, I think you should work with one at all times to keep your head on straight in your business and keep on track with your goals. But that's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, how can we overcome this? Is there a way that we can stop self-sabotaging? Is there a way that you would take somebody and begin to work on their self-confidence, for example? What can someone do right now to begin to see some improvement in this area if they hear that and they recognize it and say, yep, that's me?
Well, part of that is when you find that you have some fear, you're lacking some confidence, or you just know that you don't like where you're at and you keep hitting the proverbial brick wall, you got to set an intention to figure out what it is within you that is stopping you from moving forward. It's so easy to blame our results on outside circumstances, outside conditions, people, things that are out of our control, but we always have control of our habits, behaviors, beliefs. And so when we say, you know what, this isn't working, and I need to figure out what it is within me that is part of the challenge that I'm experiencing. And so you set that intention. All right, so I want to know what it is within me that's stopping me from moving forward. Send that out to the universe, say your prayer to the deity of your choice, whatever floats your boat, but set that intention out there. And then give yourself some time to get the answer. Sometimes it hits you right in the face, and other times it takes a couple of days for that to formulate. You might hear a song or read a quote, or somebody might say something to you, and you'll get that light bulb moment. It's like, that's what it is. But until we stop and set the intention to figure out what it is within us that's sabotaging ourselves, then we just muddle through our day and play victim and blame it on everything outside of ourselves. And we can't change those factors in our lives. Not always. We have to change within first.
That makes a lot of sense. And Annette, let me get your take on this, because I hear people, and I do it myself, talk about self-sabotage. Can you give us an example of a way that a business owner will actually unconsciously self-sabotage himself, herself, their business? Give us an example so we can really come to grips with this whole idea about self-sabotage.
Perfect. I'll give you the one that I find is most prevalent in all of the people I coach, and that comes to picking up the phone and following up on leads and making sales calls.
Wow.
They'll find every kind of distraction they can to avoid picking up the phone. And I've done it myself. I still find myself doing it occasionally. So you've got to have when you recognize that that's what you're doing, that you're because for a lot of people, picking up the phone and making sales calls is uncomfortable, puts them out of their comfort zone. They're afraid of rejection, or they don't feel confident in their sales ability. But until you set the intention that you're going to make those calls, put it into your schedule, not let anything stand in your way. You keep it just like you would a doctor's appointment or any other important appointment with yourself, and make those calls. You're never going to get better at making sales calls unless you're making sales calls.
Oh, that makes sense.
And you start getting that experience. Yeah, you can't get better. I was just watching the movie The Music Man the other day, and he was talking about the think system on how to play the horns. But you're not going to learn how to get better at sales by only doing the think system. You've got to have the experience. You've got to pick up the phone and make the calls. And so we find ways to distract ourselves from those activities that are less pleasing in our business. And sales calls is one of the big ones that I run into with entrepreneurs.
Wow, that's really interesting that you would say that, because I would think to get to the level of business and success that they've already achieved, at some point somewhere they had to have sold something to somebody, and then it's like they become a victim of their own success and they self-sabotage. Exactly what you're talking about. Exactly.
And I see it all the time. They get comfortable with the level of success that they are at, and then they don't push the barriers and continue to improve. And it might have been by luck or chance that they reached the level of success that they are at, and they weren't really strategic in it. And now it's like, I need to go to the next level. I need to get strategic, and here's an area that I'm sabotaging myself.
Interesting. So we have talked about self-help methods, and I always say the biggest problem with self-help is that you have to help yourself. And if you were able to do that, if everybody was able to help themselves, then we wouldn't need doctors or lawyers or professionals or coaches or consultants. So how would working with someone like you really improve a business owner's chances for success? What are you going to do for them to get them out of that self-sabotage mode and the self-confidence factor and really get them where they want to be?
Well, first of all, I'm not afraid to call them on their crap, which is the benefit of a coach. I liken it to, you're driving down the road and you're go to change lanes and you start to move over to the next lane, and all of a sudden you hear somebody laying on their horn, and you realize that, there was a car in your blind spot. Well, that's how some of our self-sabotaging behaviors, habits, and beliefs are. They're like a blind spot that we can't see. And so as a coach, working through a process with you to build your business, I can see those areas that maybe you can't recognize that you're self-sabotaging. And so I can help you with the tools that I have to move out of that. But I'm a business strategist, results coach. So I want you to get a return on your investment. I want you to make the money that you say you want to make. And so I also help you lay out the strategies to get to where you want to go. And one of the biggest things that I find with people that I work with is they don't have a strategic business plan. They're running their business by what I call the fly by the seat of your pants business plan, or profit plan, as I like to call it. And you can't get ahead without that foundation. Yet people avoid that foundation because it's not the sexy part of business. If you think about building a skyscraper, that foundation, when they're laying the rebar and the concrete and they've dug the big hole in the ground, that's not the pretty part of the building. Mm-hmm. Yet it's got to be in place, or that building's going to fall over at first sign of an earthquake or a big wind. So it's the same in business. You've got to have that foundation in place. And I find a lot of entrepreneurs, they skip over the foundation part. They start making money, or they just start flinging stuff against the wall, seeing what will stick. And there's no strategy in place. So when those big winds come in, when that earthquake happens, everything falls apart because there's no plan in place. And so I am very good at helping them put together their, what I call a profit plan, and lay that foundation for the next level in their business, or if they're just starting a business, starting it out the right way, rather than waiting until it's failing and going, oh crap, what do I do?
Yeah, that's so important, because once you start building that thing, it's hard to go back and fix the foundation that either doesn't exist or is wrong to begin with. I remember watching a show on PBS. It was a documentary about a skyscraper that they built. I think it was in Miami Beach. And basically, these skyscrapers are there, and they're built on sand, and there is no foundation. And so to build this skyscraper, before they could construct it, they had to dig down 17 stories below ground and pour, I don't know how much concrete, but that was their foundation. And if they didn't get that foundation right, not only would their skyscraper fall, but because of the sandy conditions of this area where all of these skyscrapers were, if their foundation was not laid correctly, it could create a chain reaction that all the other skyscrapers would start to fall down around them. So I thought that was a really great analogy to illustrate what you're talking about, the importance of having a foundation. And before you can build up, you've got to build down.
Exactly. And do the not so pleasurable work. Although when I help people build that profit plan, and they forecast out their revenue based on their revenue producing strategies, they're like, wow, this is great, because they can actually see the potential that they have in their business, that you can't see that potential if you don't have a strategic plan laid out. It's hard to see what is possible without forecasting that out.
Yeah, very important, and not necessarily something. It's one of those things Stephen Covey talks about when he says this sort of activity is important but not urgent, meaning all these other urgencies will come in and will rob us from taking the time to do the thing that is really important, which is doing the planning, coming up with the strategy, laying the foundation for future success. And so that's what you help people do. I think that's really awesome. From one strategist to another, I say, go for it, and thank God for you. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited?
I am have just upgraded my e-learning site, Badass in Business Academy, And so with the help of my team, we've created what I feel is the most dynamic and powerful online training center that I've seen. And it really blows my mind what we've created to assist small business owners to create the additional revenue in their business and create profits and scale their business. So I'm really excited about that upgrade.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So I know there's probably a lot of small business owners listening right now, and they're in kind of the same situation of the people that we're talking about. How can our listeners get in touch with you and find out more about that and the other products and services that you offer?
Well, they can go right to badassinbusinessacademy.com. Go to my contact page. My social media links are all there too, so they can connect with me on social media as well. So that's my one-stop shop. Badassinbusinessacademy.com. Because we're not just talking about it, we're teaching it, and you're going to learn it, right? Exactly.
Very neat. Well, this has been very motivational, especially if you need to really get down to what it's going to take to grow and build the business you need for the life you want. So I think this has been really wonderful. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap everything up?
Absolutely. If you want to make badass money in your business, I don't suggest, I strongly encourage you to hire an expert coach or consultant, whether it's a business coach, a marketing coach, a sales coach, a mindset coach, an accountability coach, a health coach, whatever your sticking point is that's keeping you from being badass in business. You need to invest in your business. It's tough to do business alone. And so you can contact me, Explore Coaching. There's many other qualified experts like you out there. You got to find the one that's right for you. Don't, investigate, do your due diligence, and get someone on your team that can help you grow.
Very good. Words of wisdom from Annette Pieper. She is lovingly known as the Badass Business Chick. She is a business results coach, author, speaker, and trainer, and president of Vision to Reality Training. And you can find out more by visiting badassinbusinessacademy.com. Annette Pieper, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.